rhomboideus minor muscle, and insertion take place at the root of the spine of the scapula in a dorsal surface of the scapula along with the median border. And below this there is a insertion of the rhomboideus major muscle. The rhomboideus major muscle insertion take place at this level. This one is a rhomboideus major. Rhomboideus major muscle, and below the insertion of the rhomboideus minor there is an insertion of the rhomboideus major, and at this level, at the inferior angle dorsal surface of the scapula, here there is a insertion of the Latissimus dorsi muscle. Latissimus dorsi muscle, it is insertion take place in the inferior angle in the dorsal surface of the scapula. So here the rhomboideus major is a Latissimus dorsi, and this is rhomboideus major, and this rhomboideus major muscle insertion take place along with the medial border in the dorsal surface of the scapula in between the rhomboideus minor and the Latissimus dorsi muscle. And these muscles, you now remember this, these muscles, there is no origin along with the medial border and the dorsal surface of the scapula. They are all muscles here, meaning levator scapulae, rhomboideus minor, rhomboideus major and latissimus, and these muscles they are inserted. But the Latissimus dorsi muscle from the dorsal surface and at the level of the inferior angle of the scapula, and this Latissimus dorsi muscle origin take place. Next, there is a supraspinous fossa, and this one is a supraspinous fossa, and this supraspinous fossa, and it gives the origin for the supraspinatus muscle. Supraspinatus muscle originates from the supraspinous fossa, and supraspinous fossa. Its origin superiorly it is limited by the upper border of the scapula, and laterally its origin it is limited by the insertion of the levator scapulae muscle, and its origin also it extends on the inferior surface superior surface of the spine of the scapula. Once again you listen. This is supraspinous fossa. The supraspinous fossa, and it gives the supraspinatus muscle. Supraspinatus muscle, it originates from the supraspinous fossa, and the supraspinous fossa it gives the supraspinatus muscle superiorly its origin limited by the upper border, and medial side, and its origin is limited by the inferior, the levator scapulae muscle insertion, and the inferiorly, and its origin it extends up to the superior border of the spine of the scapula. This is for the supraspinatus muscle. And below this, and there is an infraspinatus muscle. The infraspinatus muscle originates from this area. Entire this area, it gives the origin for the infraspinatus muscle. Infraspinatus muscle, and medially its origin it arises from the infraspinous surface, and medial side its origin limited by the teres minor and teres major muscle, superiorly teres minor, inferiorly teres major, and lateral side and the medial side, and its origin is limited by the rhomboideus major muscle, and superiorly its origin is limited by the deltoid muscle and it is located inferiorly latissimus dorsi. So in between these muscles and there is a infraspinatus muscle is there. Infraspinatus muscle, this is the origin for the infraspinatus, and this one is in the medial border. So superiorly, and there is a deltoid muscle is there, argent take place the deltoid muscle, and in the lateral side there is the origin of the lateral side, teres minor and teres major, and inferiorly there is a latissimus dorsi, and the lateral side, and there is this Rhomboideus major muscle. In between these muscles, there is a infraspinatus muscle. Origin take place from the dorsal surface of the scapula. Next is there is a crest of the spine of the scapula. So this crest of the spine of the scapula, in the crest, this intermediate area surface, and there is a bursa is there, and the bursa, and it is a subcutaneous. And superior to this, here there is a superior or upper lip or superior border is there. So this superior border, it receives the insertion of the trapezius muscle. So this trapezius muscle, it is insertion take place along with the upper border of the spine of the scapula, and also it extends up to this, up to the medial border of the acromine process of the scapula. This is the insertion of the trapezius muscle. This is for the trapezius muscle. Trapezius muscle, argination takes place in the occipital bone, and there is a external occipital protuberance, medial of the superior nuchal line and ligamentum nuchae, and seventh cervical spine, and the supraspinous ligament, and from there, and the argination takes place, and it descends downwards, and it is inserted along with the upper border of the crest of the spine of the scapula, and its insertion, it extends up to the in the lateral and the medial border of the acromine process of the scapula. Next, the attachment on this inferior border. So this inferior border of the spine of the scapula, it gives the deltoid muscle. Deltoid muscle, it has three types of the muscle fibers, and once deltoid muscle, it has three types of muscle fibers: clavicular muscle fibers, acromine muscle fibers, and the spinous muscle fibers. The spinous muscle fibers, they are called by the posterior muscle fibers. Posterior muscle fibers of the deltoid muscle, and they takes the origination. The origin takes place. Deltoid muscle, posterior muscle fibers, origin takes place along with the inferior border of the spine of the scapula. Inferior border of the spine of the scapula, it gives the origin for the posterior fibers of the deltoid muscle. So it's the muscles, this is for the deltoid. So deltoid muscle, it originates from the inferior border of the crest of the spine of the scapula, and its origin extends along with the lateral border of the acromine process of the scapula. So here, this one is the acromine process. This is the lateral border, and this is the lateral border, and this one is the medial border. Here what happens? And in the lateral border, there is an insertion of the trapezius. In the medial border, and there is a origin of the lateral fibers of the deltoid muscle. And its origin also it extends along with the inferior border of the crest of the spine of the scapula. And this is for the in the dorsal aspect. And next is in the ventral aspect. In the ventral surface, there is a subscapularis muscle. The subscapularis muscle. So here there is so many things I have to explain the dorsal surface and along with this lateral border and supraglenoid tubercle. Here there is a supraglenoid tubercle. It gives the origin for the long head of the biceps brachii muscle, long head, biceps brachii, long head. It arises from the supraglenoid tubercle. So supraglenoid tubercle, it is located here. This is superior to this. Here there is a elevated part. It is called by the supraglenoid tubercle. Inferior to this, it is called by the infraglenoid tubercle. And infraglenoid tubercle is present inferiorly.